Hello, this is Bertie, and I'm here with some big news. I've written a book that's just been published. It's called Undercover Robot, My First Year as a Human. And when I say I've written it, what I really mean is that I co-wrote it with my old friend. Well, he's not that old, but his name is David Edmonds. So let me introduce you to my collaborator and friend, David.
Hi, Storynoy. I am actually that old, but anyway, we'll pass over that.
David, perhaps you can tell the audience a little bit about Undercover Robot.
Well, Undercover Robot is about a girl called Dotty, and Dotty's 11 years old, and the thing you need to know about Dotty is that she's not actually a girl, she's a robot, and she's been designed by a Professor Catnip, who is kind of like her dad. And if Dotty can survive for a year at school without being identified, uncovered as a robot, she and Professor Catnip will win a huge amount of money.
She lives with Professor Catnip's family who don't know that she's a robot. And at school, most people are taken in, but there's one boy, isn't there, who's really onto her.
Yes, there's a guy called Martin Strange who is trying to expose her. And I should explain that if you actually spot a robot and identify the robot correctly, you win $10,000. So people are on the lookout to see who might be a robot in their school. It turns out that there are 5 robots around the world who are all trying to win this prize, and there are people trying to out them.
Okay, so I haven't mentioned this yet, but David, you're a philosopher, aren't you? And you've published quite a few books, some of them best-selling books on philosophy. And our book has quite a lot of philosophy in it, doesn't it?
It's got a lot of philosophy, but quite well hidden. But the basic issue is quite philosophical, which is whether a robot can actually be like a human. Is there something special about human beings that means robots can never copy them? Or could a really brilliantly designed and built robot actually not only pretend to be like a human being, but to all intents and purposes be just like a human being?
Because Dotty is very nearly like a human being, but she gets a few things wrong. And some of those things raise lots of questions in philosophy. What about Dotty's first meal at the Catnip family? How can just having a supper raise philosophical questions?
Well, Dotty gets into trouble very early on because she doesn't understand etiquette, that you're supposed to put your knife in the right hand and the fork in the left hand, at least in British culture. The odd thing about etiquette is that in other societies they do things differently. So it seems a bit different from morality. So, for example, pretty much every society, people think it's wrong to murder somebody. But in different societies, people have different kind of approaches to meals and food. In some societies, you're supposed to burp loudly to show your appreciation.
Which the little girl in the story does, doesn't she? The little Catnip girl does burp and Dotty copies her.
Dotty copies her. Dotty assumes that that's what you're supposed to do. Dotty can't quite work out which rules are supposed to be universal, which rules are supposed to apply to the whole world, and which rules are supposed to apply just to maybe British society or maybe just to the Catnip household where she lives.
Because at school there are lots and lots of rules, aren't there? And lots of detentions.
Yeah, it's a very strict school, and Dotty has to try and navigate the school as well. But she doesn't want to be too good, because if she's too good and doesn't get into any trouble, that would be suspicious. That would be like not a normal kid.
In fact, she has a misbehaviour quota, doesn't she? She's allowed to misbehave. I can't remember, is it 8% of the time or 20% of the time? We discussed it a lot. But of course she overshoots her quota quite a bit and gets into lots and lots of trouble.
Yes, she also has to get what her designers, programmers called friendship points. She has to try and make friends with people in her class to show that she's capable of meaningful human interactions.
There's a girl called Hannah who's quite a rebel who becomes her friend. But there are others that she really annoys, like Cindy Lowe, isn't there? I mean, most people find her quite lovable, but she can be a bit irritating sometimes.
Yeah, she can sometimes take things a bit literally, which other people find really annoying. Her humour is sometimes a bit off, so she sometimes doesn't get puns, and at least at the early stages, she's not very good at picking up the subtleties of human interaction, and that's why she gets into so much trouble.
We're not going to say everything, but it does build up to a very big climax, and some really crazy stuff starts to happen. Almost surreal stuff that you, as a philosopher, I believe, call a thought experiment. If you imagine this crazy thing could happen, what would that mean to philosophy?
Yes, there are a few thought experiments. There's something that happens when Dotty is in a zoo and a wild animal escapes, and it looks like it's going to head for and possibly injure, possibly even kill a bunch of kids. And Dotty has to decide very quickly whether she should try and distract the bear and point it, as it were, in another direction. But the problem with doing that is that it would put other people at danger, fewer people. So Dotty has to make this decision whether to save 30 lives, but at the cost of perhaps killing 5 people, and not just any 5 people. As it happens, the people she would endanger would be members of the family that she lives with.
In fact, working with David, I've learnt that this branch of philosophy is called trolleyology. And it's something to do with trolleys, like shopping trolleys that run away and might run somebody over and kill them. Anyway, if you want to meet Dotty, I think you will love her. She is a really funny, wild character. Everyone who's read the book says she really works her way into people's hearts and makes them laugh a lot. So do look out for Dotty. It's published in the UK by Walker Books. It's called Undercover Robot, My First Year as a Human. And we hope that around the world you'll be able to get it on Kindle and the audio as well, which is read by Emma Wilson. For now, from me, Bertie, and from my friend David, goodbye.
Goodbye.